Hello and welcome to the Cardiac Cats YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jacob Shorba, and we're here once again, like the fifth video today, because the Jaguars are just spending on players left and right. No massive deals, but this is definitely the biggest so far today. Guard Patrick Mekari signing to a $37.5 million deal over 3 years. So $12.5 million a year up to $39 million over all of this, and $20 million of that guaranteed. So it's a pretty big contract. And once again, try not to cough. It's just nothing's working. But Mekari is someone who, looking at his career, he's played a ton of positions. I mean, you could ask him to play literally anywhere on this offensive line for the Jaguars. The least amount of snaps he's ever played somewhere is 272 at right guard. He's had ample experience at center, guard, and tackle. So as far as where he's going to play, who knows, right? He's going to be moving positions, I would imagine, because he was playing left guard last year. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe they decide to have him be the center for this team. I could definitely see that happening. I think just looking at his build probably makes sense at that position. So that could be the case. What is kind of surprising to me here is I thought if they were going to go after someone, they would go after someone who is a really good blocker in the run game. And Mekari, I mean, he's fine, but not someone who's been incredible in that regard. Maybe his best days are ahead of him, but Mekari is known a lot more for what he does in pass protection. And you see that looking over this whole year, right? Very good performances. Gave up 1 sack. Didn't even give up a hit, technically, which I would count a sack as a hit. But by the way they do this, he did not give up one. Decent amount of pressures, right? But ultimately, Mekari was good at keeping his quarterback upright. And, part of that, I'm sure, is Lamar Jackson, right? He's hard to sack. So that's got to be considered. The other thing I would note, a lot of penalties, right? He had one game where he had 4 penalties. So that's got to get toned down. Toned down a bit. But ultimately, this is a player who should be a starter, should be a fine starter for the Jaguars. I'd love to see him play center. I think that'd be a really good fit for him. But they do at least address one of these positions and go into the draft, assuming they don't get anyone else, with probably just a need at guard. I'm guessing he plays center. I don't really know, but we'll have to see what happens. Now, where does this put the Jaguars as far as spending? This is $12.5 million more per year. Adding that up with the $36 million that you have from before, you're up to almost $15 million a year that this team has spent. That is more than they spent last year. So a lot of players, no one who's cracked like $15 million or like a super high number, but a lot of guys who could come in and start, and you're trying to get upside with the deal. So ultimately, I think for Mekari, I'm good with this, especially if he plays center. I think that's really exciting, considering what they ultimately had as options at the position. Not a lot left at this point. Drew Dalman was taken. Not really anyone I'd want to bring in. And this would be probably the best option of what's left when you really think about it. So those are my thoughts on that. We're going to wrap this up so I can hopefully start recovering. But Jaguars are just signing people nonstop, so I guess I'm talking all day. But I want to shout out our channel members. Premier Sarah 904, Nightmare Eco, Gator John Bites, Ichi Wiener, Mr. Dolphin, Scrubber Ducky 500, and Brian Foster. Thank you all for supporting the channel, putting up with me today. Let me know your thoughts on all these signings and where you think things stand for the Jaguars. But we're going to wrap it up there. Have a great rest of your day. And finally, go Jags.